I wanted to talk about some problematic abilities in Overwatch because, boy, there are quite a few. I went away and I compiled a list of 5 problematic abilities, and we're just going to go over them one by one, explain what about them has either historically been problematic or is currently problematic, and what makes the ability so disastrous to the game. So, first up is quite a obvious one that you might expect. It's going to be Sombra's Hack. I think Sombra Hack is seriously one of the most problematic abilities in the entire game, because the fact is that it is bad for everyone, both the player playing against Sombra and the player playing in Sombra. So if you don't know what Hack does, you do it like that and it removes their abilities. You disable abilities briefly. Back in Overwatch 1, it used to disable abilities for a very long time, but now it's more like 1 second. This ability has always been frustrating to play against because people want to use their abilities. People would like to be able to use all their abilities, use their movement cooldowns, and do things. It is not fun to take that away from people. I've said that a million times, but it's not fun to take away from people. And I think one of the main things people don't like is the fact that she then gets to go invisible and move around and then pop off the hack. But regardless, ability lockout is just unfun, especially in a hero shooter like Overwatch. I think in Valorant it works a lot stronger because that game is so gun-pilled with util on the different agents, whereas Overwatch is so the hero's kit is the main driver of the character and why you'd play a character. The problem that I've really had with Hack, I'm a former Sombra player, I know, reformed, right, all that, is they keep making Hack very, very important. For no reason. They've made it way too important. Hack is either buffed the damage you deal, that's like older Sombra in Overwatch, in the start of the earlier seasons of Overwatch 2, or they've made it so that how it is now, where you kind of need it to get all your virus damage. So for instance, let's show this off, right? That's virus on someone who is not hacked. Here's a hacked target that I'm not going to virus, and the hacked, boom. So you notice how the damage is the same, but could you see how this... I want to say infinite cooldowns. How there's a instant like burst hit of damage instead of the much slower tick. This has made it so if you want to actually kill anything quickly, you need to like be hacking and then shooting people, because then they literally explode and stop existing. Whereas if you don't do that, then you're not getting your full virus value, because let's be so honest, this ticking down is very easy to heal, but once it's been hacked and hit, it's much more difficult to actually counteract. Why does this suck for the Sombra player? Because you can't always hack someone. It's not an ability that you want to constantly be using, because it has a cast time, it takes her to stealth, it reveals where you are, you could just get stunned, shot, killed, all that kind of thing while trying to hack someone. And that kind of sucks, especially with the way her entire kit works. It just doesn't really enable this hack thing. And also, it serves as a gate to do things. No one else in the game has this barrier that they have to cross before they can do things. Now, I'm not saying that you need to hack everyone. You can just virus and shoot. Like, that is actually fine. But the way she's been going has really focused on that idea of the hack, then the virus, then the shoot. And no one wants to do this step-by-step equation to kill people and get value. It's really unfun. Like, regardless of if it's right or whatever, it's not fun for people to play because you don't want to have to rely on one singular ability. And that also means the ability goes off more, so people get even more annoyed because their abilities get locked out more. So yeah, no one is a fan of Hack. It literally pleases no one. Moving on to Hazard Block. Now, Hazard's actually been quite strong right now, which is a little annoying. But let's show off Hazard Block, right? I don't know if this is what everyone had in mind with these type of abilities, but let's just show it, right? You do this, and then you deal damage in a cone on a resource, and you're free to move. You can just charge up your resource again. You can, use it in the air and stuff like that. And you take less damage, like 60% less damage, and you deal damage to people. AoE as well, not even just single target. You'll hit, all of these people, like that. And it's pretty good damage. Blocks in this game have typically been very problematic. There's another block later on this list. They just don't work as well as shields or healing or armor and things like this. And the reason being is that you can't really do anything to stop them. If someone's blocking, you can't just shoot them and break it like a shield. Or like with healing, it's sort of like they're still taking the same amount of damage, they're just being healed, but you can, it feels less bad. Whereas straight up damage reduction on a resource is just insane. Like, if it was literally insane. And then the only con you could have with a block is, oh yeah, but you can't do anything while using block. Well, with Hazard, you can kind of just deal damage to people. I really don't like overloaded style abilities. Stuff where the ability does multiple things. I just think it's kind of wrong. I don't know. I'm much more of a fan of simple yet skill expressive like kits. You'll see all my favorite characters just have very straightforward stuff that can be used in a variety of ways. Whereas I just really don't like the fact that we have given a damage reduction ability, a tanking survival ability, a good amount of damage, and put it on a resource. The annoying thing about Hazard is that part of his engage combo is to use block. You want to jump on someone, slash, and then just block and walk out. That's very, very uninteractive. You really can't do much if someone just jumps into you and then just walks out while blocking, because not only would you take damage if you were to chase this guy, you also wouldn't do any damage to him as he walks out because he's taken no damage. It's kind of insane. And it's on a resource, so he could just go boop, and then boop. There's no cooldown on it, thank the Lord. Yeah, I am not a big fan of Hazard block. I think Hazard block is just unhealthy. It's just not good for the game. I'd rather not have it in there. Super uninteractive. And yeah, that's it. Moving on. Alright, no shooting me, right? I enjoy Mercy. The movement's fun. Everything's fun, right? But Mercy Resurrect is just undeniably problematic. Like, you can't deny the fact that Resurrection is just hard to balance and, like, hard to make feel fair and fun. People want to get kills in Overwatch, and when they do, they get excited and they get value out of it. But then when you undo that value, it's not very fun. You know, like, it's probably one of the most unsatisfying abilities in the game for the enemy, because they literally just lost their kill. Like, someone could be, rightfully so should have deserved to die, but Mercy reses them and they come back. And I'm not saying this ability is super strong. I actually don't think it's that strong of an ability. I just think it's very unfun to play against and play around. It's still just an unhealthy design being resurrected. Disagree with me all you want. I just would much rather, if someone dies, they die. I would much rather have the ability to heal someone to prevent them from dying than have a thing to undo death. I really don't like. This ability has also historically been very problematic. Tapping into some history here. Very first Mercy iteration was the Mass Resurrection on Ultimate, which was also really, really unhealthy for the game. And then the version they created after that had the cooldown, reset when she popped Valk. And also, I think during Valk, it had a shorter cooldown, so you could, res someone, pop it, res them again, and then res them at the end of Valk. It was a bit much. So yeah, the ability's always been a problem. And it's one of the worst type of abilities to, go through problematic balance, just because it's a resurrection. It literally brings people back alive, and in a game when you're trying to shoot and kill people, that really, really sucks. And I don't even think it's that fun of an ability for the Mercy player to use. It just feels like a part of their kit that they just, have. I firmly, confidently believe that Mercy wouldn't actually be weaker without res. I don't think it even does much to a kit. It just adds a level of annoyance for enemies. Like, I think it's good, but most of the time it's just annoying. It's just annoying. So yeah, no hate to Mercy. Fun character. Just Resurrection is just not something that I really, really like in any game, and I think Overwatch, it feels kind of even worse. Especially, it's just on such a long cooldown to balance it. It also just is something that's it doesn't happen, and then suddenly it happens one time, and it's annoying. Because it's not something that constantly happens, or that you constantly think about. Alright, the real brutal one here is Ram. I mentioned more block stuff. Blocks are just, again, like I explained earlier with Hazard, just not very fun. They're the least interactive form of sustain and survivability, right? And this one's even more egregious. It's even more annoying, right? It's more reduction. It's really long, so let's just show it off. You could just hold it for the whole 8 seconds of Nemesis form. That is an insane amount of sustain for a character who already has such a high health pool, with so much of that being armor when you're in Nemesis form. You take 0 damage. You are pretty much unkillable during block, as long as you didn't start it off with no health. And you can move during it. you could just walk out of any situation with it. It is disgustingly strong. It is the reason why Ram will ever be meta. If Ram is ever meta, it is purely because, like, he can just block. It's such a strong ability. And then you tandem that with his ult, where he kind of gets an indefinite block. You know, you can just kind of sit here and just take no damage for like an infinite amount of time. And I mean, yeah, and then right afterwards you just pop it again. And like if you're in someone's face, you kind of have to deal with it. Like it's like, oh yep, or like you just go in, or you get pushed out, and then you just pop form and you just walk out with block. Really, really unfun. Really unfun. Even regardless of a Ram's strength, it is always a disgusting ability to play against. I truly believe that Ram's block is one of the most unfun abilities to play against in the entire game. Like I think he just is so bad for the game. And yeah, it's like one of the most problematic abilities. There's not a redeeming point about Ramatra's block. Alright, the last one on the list is going to be pretty obvious. I'm going to put Roadhog's hook. I feel I don't need to explain much more, but we'll do it. I do think the ability is super problematic because it is followed up by a one-shot, right? You hook someone and then you just shoot them in the head. I missed. And then they will die. I was not paying attention. But do you know what I mean? You just hook someone and then just kill them. There's pretty much like absolutely no fun to be had in that. And then even the fact that displacement like this is super like unfun to play against and can be super problematic. I'm wondering though, could a hook work by itself? Probably. Genuinely, the ability of hook probably could work by itself. But the way it's used here and the way it's done, it doesn't. Because it is completely balanced by the fact that you need a follow-up like one shot, right? That's what you need to do to get this thing to have value. Which is just so unfun for every single party. And yeah, I messed it up for some reason. You just have to walk forward, like, and then you can hit a melee, and they're dead, right? I don't even think about like a proper combo. It is like almost so annoying and egregious that it doesn't even feel like a combo. If you get hooked, you are dead. So the hook might as well just insta-kill you because you're gonna die. Even if like I don't get the proper one shot with the shot, the melee just insta-kills. You just gotta walk a little bit. Anyway, Roadhog hook, it's just problematic because hooks in this game, I will always probably feel bad. I mean, we only have one, but it's even worse by the fact that it is in tandem with a one-shot. It is balanced by having a one-shot. Its strength comes from the fact that you hook people and then insta-kill them. They would probably die, even if you didn't shoot them because you pull them into a team, but they at least have a bit more counterplay there. Super problematic ability. It is always going to be why Hog is, like, annoying or strong, which he kind of has been really annoying recently because they keep buffing his damage. He is just such a frustrating character to play against. I have an entire video, and I've talked about him at length in multiple videos, about Roadhog. And I've given proposed, like, hook fixes. I've talked about why Hook is so annoying. It's just so unfun. And like everyone agrees, I don't even feel like I need to give much reason for this one because I could just say Roadhog hook and people would be like, oh yeah, no, that's not fun. I don't like Roadhog hook. No one likes Roadhog hook, okay? No one likes it. Bring on fun ability. Anyway, that is all I hope you were all able to enjoy. Yeah, learn some new stuff. Problematic abilities. Let me know any other problematic abilities you think deserve to on a list in a part 2. Who knows, might do a part 2. Because there are probably a lot of abilities still out there that are, unhealthy for the game. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, down below. I stream these live, twitch.tv/pyrosquid_OW. I try to stream more often than I used to, but not perfect. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like and subscribe, all that shit. Peace out.